Here from Botswana have made damning allegations. They say state resources are being used to pressurize the women into dropping the rape charges. A COSAFA volunteer opened a rape charge against a Limpopo government spokesperson on Friday. The prominent official also opened a charge of extortion against the lady.
Accusations and counter-accusations. The victim alleged that she mysteriously found herself naked in the government official's bed after a night together. The high-profile official then laid a charge of extortion against her, citing that the victim tried to solicit an amount of 200,000 rands from him.
Firstly, extortion is not even a Schedule 1 offense. The police were under no obligation to arrest her for that, even if it's a valid charge, which we're saying it's not. Secondly, the authorities were not available for a bail application for her because it's bail that can be entertained by prosecutors over weekends. And consequently, she spent the whole weekend in custody.
The AFF released a scathing statement calling the official a disgrace to the government.
Even when we released the statement that he must step down, the Premier kept mum on it. It means he's a partner in the crime. He has indirectly also violated the right and taken away the dignity of this child.
The NPA says it has referred the matter to the National Director of Public Prosecution.
The matter is going to be referred to the DPP's office for the decision. That is why now we can't disclose what is written on the statement.
The office of the Premier says it's relieved after the charge was dropped.
We have always said a person is innocent until they're proven guilty. Now, if it has reached this stage and there's nothing in the court roll and it has been withdrawn, well, we're happy for him.
The provincial government has offered a trauma counseling to the victim. For SABC News in Polokwane.
Well, to get a little bit more on this particular story, I'm now joined by Brigadier Motlafela Mojapelo, who's the Limpopo police spokesperson. Thanks very much for joining us on the line, Brigadier. Perhaps you can just, because there's a lot of public interest in this particular story, because, you know, on the one hand, you can understand a rape charge is laid, another charge of extortion is laid, and then we wake up Monday morning and the charges have disappeared. Take us through the timeline from the moment that you arrested the alleged perpetrator, or now the person who was accused of rape.
Well, we believe that as the police, we have done what we were supposed to do. When the case was reported to the police and the counter charge that was also reported to the police, we have done what was necessary for us to do in terms of apprehending the people involved. And we then took the matter to court, and it was obviously for the court to make a further determination on the matter. So
when did the court appearance happen? Was it today, or was the charges withdrawn or dropped before? No. What happened is that the cases were opened on Saturday morning. Right. The incident might have happened apparently on Friday night, but then they were opened on Saturday morning, and the people were then arrested. They were kept in custody until this morning when they were brought to court. Did they appear before the judge then? Well, I believe that is a terrain that could be entertained by the courts themselves or the NPA. What we did as the police is we have charged them in terms of our registers, and we took them to court this morning. That's when then the withdrawals were made. All right, so help us understand. I understand that, rape is a Schedule 6 offence, like murder and robbery, and that ordinarily this is normally the state versus the accused person, but rape is an odd one because a person can withdraw the case and that generally then falls away. But where does that leave the police, where people can come to a police station, lay a charge of rape, and then after sleeping on it over the weekend, they change their mind? Well, you've stated it correctly that this is a Schedule 6 offense. That's why
as the police, we couldn't entertain any attempt to get them released on bail. And we kept them in custody until this morning on Monday, because in terms of the law, we can't release any person on bail, especially Schedule 6 offences. So it was brought to court, and I believe as the police have done what we should have done in the circumstances.
Is there anything that you think can be done in the future? Because otherwise we might have a situation where police resources are being wasted if people come, lay a charge, and then they change their mind. I mean, rape isn't something that one can just change their mind and withdraw willy-nilly.
That's correct. It is obviously our concern that we spend resources investigating cases and they get withdrawn. But what can we do? We've got to soldier on. When there's any case reported to the police, we have got to do what we are supposed to do in terms of investigating it and bringing it to court. If there are withdrawals that are made in court, that is something else.
All right, so let me just get a bit more clarity here. So normally when somebody reports a crime like rape, you take the case and then you go to the NPA, and then the NPA decides to prosecute or not. Did it get to the National Prosecuting Authority level? Who decided that these charges would be withdrawn and that nobody would be prosecuted?
Well, I've mentioned that we kept the two in custody and we brought them to court this morning. And they then decided to withdraw the cases. They submitted withdrawal statements, and a decision was made to withdraw this particular matter. I understand that they were then released, but then there's another process that will be backed up on, obviously, by the NPA in this case.
And what process is that?
Well, it will depend on whether it will depend on the decision of the NPA. Obviously, if the NPA decides to put the matter back on the roll, will then be brought into the picture in terms of conducting further investigations. But for now, we regard the matter as closed because of the withdrawals that were made.
All right, the matter is closed, but it is clear that a crime was committed. Because you can't have two stories that are both correct. Either the rape took place, and if that was the case, then the extortion then must have taken place. You can't have one without the other. So somebody between the two is not telling the truth. Is it okay just for us to close the book on where obviously somebody has committed a crime?
Well, you must remember that the police are not there to make a determination whether somebody is telling the truth or not. Ours is to investigate the allegations and then bring them to the competent authorities to make that particular determination. So it will be incorrect for us to start making some pronouncements in terms of whether someone was lying or not.
All right, and what would you say then to people who are concerned that perhaps all of this is just to protect Premier Mtabata's aide?
Well, I really can't comment on that one. Like I said, the police have done what they were supposed to do. Any other assumptions that are made by people, then we'll have to deal with that. It could be a perception, perhaps, but the police have done what they are supposed to do, and the matter has been withdrawn.
Okay, Brigadier, thank you very much indeed for joining us. That was Brigadier Mojapelo, who's the Limpopo police spokesperson, talking to us on this curious case of charges being withdrawn this morning.